This is not.
Awaken World News with Patrick David Bonin.
They're only as good as the world allows them to be. I'll show you. When the chips are down, these civilized people, they'll eat each other. See, I'm not a monster. I'm just ahead of the curve.
You are the unvaccinated. You are the problem. It is the unvaccinated who are the problem, period, end of story.
The only people that you can blame, this isn't shaming, this is the truth. Maybe they should be shamed, are the unvaccinated.
It's time to start blaming the unvaccinated folks, not the regular folks.
Anyone you came into contact with will blame you, as will the rest of us who have done the right thing by getting vaccinated.
Because frankly, we know that we can't trust the unvaccinated.
I think it's time to get our moral house in order, Anderson. It's the unvaccinated who are the threat.
All of us vaccinated folks are going to start wearing masks to protect the unvaccinated folks. It's called a Christian value.
You're basically punishing the vaccinated for the sins of the unvaccinated.
People are not behaving honorably. The unvaccinated are basically saying, well, it's open season for me. I can do whatever I want as well.
The unvaccinated are basically beating their breasts and running around the country saying, we don't care, we're living free and so forth.
We've been patient, but our patience is wearing thin.
The unvaccinated, a group that includes children and people acting like children. And the rest of us are starting to get pissed off.
The vaccinated feel the unvaccinated are making me upset or angry.
This is not about freedom or personal choice.
Well, my freedom is being kind of disturbed here. No. Screw your freedom.
The other day, Howard Stern weighed in with a much different approach. Take a look.
When are we going to stop putting up with the idiots in this country and just say, it's mandatory to get vaccinated? Their freedom.
But you're treading on our freedom and you're making other people sick, and really you're killing other people.
The anti-vaxxers, they seem to have a thing for death and home remedies.
The anti-maskers turned anti-vaxxers are not just putting their own lives at risk. If that was the issue, we could just say that we can watch them compete to win place or show in the Darwin Awards.
We have to start doing things for the greater good of society and not for idiots who think that they can do their own research.
And don't get me started on the lunatics who won't take any of the COVID vaccines.
Life is too short to be an ass. Life is way too short to be ignorant of the promise of something that is helping people worldwide.
Maybe you're doing it because you're disconnected or disorganized. Maybe you have some sympathetic psychological reasons. But maybe you're just being antisocial.
Oh, you can't shame them. You can't call them stupid. You can't call them silly. Yes, they are.
Those who are not vaccinated will end up paying the price.
The unvaccinated should be taxed. They should pay more for health care.
We need to start looking at the choice to remain unvaccinated the same as we look at driving while intoxicated.
We're going to see, and I've said, almost two types of America.
Dr. Fauci said that if hospitals get any more overcrowded, they're going to have to make some very tough choices about who gets an ICU bed. That choice doesn't seem so tough to me. Vaccinated person having a heart attack, yes, come right on in. We'll take care of you. Unvaccinated guy who gobbled horse goo, rest in peace, Wheezy.
Pointing back to the unvaccinated who are really creating a problem in this country, every death that we are seeing from COVID could have been prevented.
Literally, the only people dying are the unvaccinated. And for those of you spreading misinformation, shame on you.
The community that faced the most restrictions on their freedoms in the last year were those who made a choice not to be vaccinated.
Premier of Quebec, François Legault, announcing a Canadian first that the province is looking to implement a special tax on the unvaccinated unless they have a medical exemption.
Nation by nation, Europe is turning into a two-tiered society in which those who refuse to be vaccinated will live under lockdown, without full access to society or jobs, facing fines and even jail.
Tonight, millions of unvaccinated Austrians on lockdown for at least the next 10 days, an order from the government as the country tries to slow the spread of the coronavirus.
The unvaccinated have already been in lockdown for almost a month, And next year will have to pay $4,000 in fines every 3 months unless they not only get vaccinated, but get booster shots. Germany's COVID restrictions have been so draconian, this German mother says her 10-year-old daughter wants to die.
Philippine Commission on Human Rights warning government about implications of President Duterte's order to bar unvaccinated people from going outdoors. The CHR says the order may result in undue discrimination.
You probably don't see it like this. There's two different classes of people. If you're vaccinated or if you're unvaccinated, you have all these rights. If you are vaccinated...
That is what it is. So, yep.
The vaccine mandate has kicked in for more than 1 million authorised workers, no longer allowed on site if they haven't had a jab.
If an employer allows an unvaccinated staff member on site, they can be fined more than $21,000 and the business will be hit with almost a $110,000 fine. Workers who falsely claim they've had the jab will wear a $10,000 fine.
There's people that don't want this mandatory vaccine. How do we manage this?
Well, then they won't be going to work.
Okay.
It's very, very simple.
But don't think you can get on a plane or a train besides vaccinated people and put them at risk.
Queensland is punishing unvaccinated teachers, docking their pay for the next 18 weeks. Okay, so we think it's safe enough for you to come in and to teach our kids in the classroom, to do the job, but we're not going to pay you what we pay the other teachers. I don't know about this.
The fingerprints of unvaccinated teachers in New York City were allegedly sent to the FBI with problem codes flagged on them.
When the city puts these problem codes on employees who have been terminated because of their unconstitutional policies, not only do they have this flag in their files, but their fingerprints are sent with that flag to the FBI and the New York Criminal Justice Services.
With every teacher job, fingerprints are essential. So whatever job I decide to pursue, they will have to get my fingerprints and do the necessary search to see if there are any flags. And now I know I have these flags.
Anka Mrak-Taritaš, 4. studeni 2021. Citiram, sada je trenutak da se kaže ljudima, ne možete više nigdje ako niste cijepljeni.
This morning, it's a race against time for DJ Ferguson and his family. The 31-year-old father of 2 with a 3rd baby on the way desperately needs a heart transplant. But his mother says Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston says DJ can't receive an organ donation because he won't get a COVID vaccine.
It is almost common policy to say, if you don't have all your vaccinations, including COVID, you're going to be less eligible for a transplant than other people who are going to do better with a scarce heart.
Dr. Berecki, 23. travnja, citiram, svijet bi bio puno ljepši bez necijepljenih. Sramite se. Sram neka vas bude.
So they have been the most discriminated against group that I've ever witnessed in my lifetime. That's a pretty extreme level of discrimination that we have seen.